I do lot of hoes.
What is up, guys? My name is Jordan. Most of you know me by Supernatural 001. I was a GM of Talisman of Noxus for the past 2.5 months. I recently shut it down because I haven't had time to be an active admin. So I decided to put my free time, the time that I do have, into making videos, explaining and showing how to get your server online and how to edit things in your game. So far, we have 4 videos in the series so far. The first 2 were about getting your server online, getting your website online, and logging in for the first time. The third and fourth video involved explaining the Melee GB and Mars folders. And then today, and probably in the next couple of videos, is going to be solely explaining the game the common folder, common table folder. These other folders we will worry about later, but we're going to focus on the big one, common table. So right now you are looking at my folder for my server. I have 359 files in here. The reason why, and I'll say this too, so there won't be the same amount of files in here as there will be in a client. Client usually has way less, because you don't need every single. So these folders right here, all of these actual folders, the only folders in the common table folder are the locations for your NPCs for each map. There is a second area though where you would edit, where some maps have their location of the NPCs, like where they spawn at. But for the most part, most caves and maps have it in the local common table folder. So on clients, you don't for some of these, you don't need all of these folders. You don't need every single map in the. I'm pretty sure that you don't need every single map in the local common table on your client side. Let me double check real quick. I have 359 there. Okay, I lied. So it does match up. So disregard that. They have to match up. So in my explanation of this folder, what I did was because so let me go through this first. So main is each one of these folders refers to a map and world 1, or the normal world of Talisman. So I'm talking like Stone City, Sky Village, Green Scarf, New Field. All of those maps in the normal world are in this main folder. Every other one of these folders is either a cave or a different world. And when I mean by different world, I mean another map, like not a cave, but an actual map. Like World 2 is MDV. World 4 is Peace Island all the way up to Cloud Island. And then like 43, 40, 43 AB, this is SP and MMC. So it doesn't specify which one's a map and which one the cave. Just know that if it's not in main, it's another map or cave out. It's either a cave in general, because any cave within like normal world, like CWC, LWFP, they are also one of these maps or one of these files, but also one of these files can be another map. So to try to make this look not as crazy, because as you see here, each map, which we will get into in a second, but I'm just showing you, each map has multiple files in regards to its configuration. So we'll go through this first real quick. So it has an area map. We will start with the first file that actually determines what files are required for your map or cave to be set up properly. So, and we will use World 2 because that's the one that we're going to be focusing on. World 2 as our example today. So each line is for a different map or cave. How it determines if it's a map or cave is in this file E. Type 1 is a world. Type 2 is a cave. Now there are a couple here that are type 4. This one right here, 3C, I believe that is either SBL or PVE. So SBL, that's a map. That's not like even though it's an event, it's a whole nother map. Same thing with PVE, PvP, they are maps. Guildements is a map. This one right here, guild area, this SXFB001, that is the name of Guildements. And as you see, every file has the name of the actual name that they set up to be the map. So all of these well, some of them are different at the end, but so yeah, so we're gonna be focusing on World 2. So World 2. So first scenes is the file is the folder that you need to make sure that you have edited it and to ensure that your map or cave is successfully working. If you have every file set up properly in your game server in your client, but you didn't add a line, the line for that area is not going to work. So column A ID is just the number, so it's in order. It doesn't refer to anything. It's just the number of the line. B is the name of the map. Now this I believe has to actually match up with the actual name of it. So like World 2, SFB 010, 11, 12, whatever. Here, column C though is the description. So it's the bullshit. I put it as for the map from what I need to know. It's not going to affect it if you put some other shit in it. It doesn't have to be the exact one. Just this one has to match up. Grid size is like the area of the map. So I will say this: I don't know anybody who's actually made up their whole map completely. So like this information I got from other servers. Well, most clients they have up to here, 61 and 65 Simon because I believe this is SFC. So all of these are new. Well, besides, oh, I lied because MDV. So World 2, Ying Feng Dung is CWC, PVE. So here, 20 PRC and up, I got from other servers. So going back to World 2. So type is, 1 is a normal map, 2 is a cave, 3 and 4 seem to be other things. So 3 is the mensch, and it looks like the only 3 there. So that's probably solely for Gildermensch. 4, okay, yeah, so I think this is PvP, or this is PvE, and I think this is PvP. So I think that's what 4s are for. But 1 and 2 is what you'll be using primarily for caves or maps. Now these other columns, they are for the actual files required to make sure that scene is working properly. So F and G are in this XML file and this SNW file. They are within the same folder in your map side. So I'm not going to go into detail, but I'll show you real quick what it's referring to. So a client and the game server have a map folder. This map folder it has a shit ton of files inside of it. Boom, boom, boom. But don't delete any, but make sure, but it'll have an SNW that we've seen there. And then the XML is this one right here. So if we're talking about World 2, SNW, XML. You see right there, boom. So you gotta make sure you have that map folder. And then the next one is, so the next ones are relevant to if the PK areas, if they're green or red. Oh, well, let me just go in order. So as I said, I'm to make it easier to look and understand. I made a copy of my game server folder. I deleted every file that's either a copy for another map, so that I only have World 2 map related files here, and then every other normal file. So the next file after the maps folder is the NPC assigned folder. So NPC assigned World 2. There's 2 of them for most of these, a Lua file and then the Excel. So let's see. The CSV is always going to be the Excel. So NPC assign. I don't edit any of these because if you edit them, you could fuck it up. So I'm trying. Let's see if I can explain some of it a little bit. I know this is the cave, I think. Oh, gotcha. So the main thing in this one that you want to pay attention to, this right here, this file. This tells you, this says where the location, where the pathway to the file that determine that will have where the NPC spawn at. So this one is saying, you know how I said earlier that there's a second file folder that is where some of the files for maps are listed at as to where the mobs are going to spawn in the script folder, which I'll show you too real quick. That's the second one. That's mostly for newer maps and caves, like from in my server. That's where Lunar Cave was. That's where War is edited to, like, if you're gonna add Palace Bear. If you're gonna add Palace Bear, well, right there is the script for Palace Bear. If anybody wanted it. I had it for Dragon Lair Cave, and there's some other ones here. Um, but back to it. So, and like in some it'll say script and then the name of the file, or it will say table and then the name of the file. And how most of them are is here is table in the file. Wait, I lied because this is MB. Oh, wait. Disregard what I. Well, no, don't disregard what I said. But I believe I'm explaining I'm explaining a different file real quick. Just give me one moment. So let me see real quick. Gotcha. So disregard what I said for the spawning information in regards to this column. That spawning information is on the Lua file. So you see here, local common table NPC. So local common table. So we're in local common table, world 2. This is the World 2 map. So World 2, local common table, and then bam, look at all the different maps in World 2. Um, your basic client won't have most of these. It'll only have this, which is Barbarian Mountain. These two is the spawning for the Celestial Stars, and here, which is West Simon. These other ones are obviously you see Peace Island. But I'll show you what it looks like when you open one. One thing you want to remember is so if we look at it here, if it opens, boom, it has all the spawns, the NPC ID, which is the ID of the NPC, and the positioning of their spawn, and then like what angle they're facing. You want to make sure that this file is blank in the client side. You can leave it blank. These location files and this folder and the local comment table folder don't have to match up with your client side. If you do have it matched up, somebody can just get your client and they can just copy and boom, they know where the mobs will spawn, so they could make a copy in their own server, whatever. That's at least kind of some secrets, so that if your server's not encrypted, they don't have everything. Because some of these maps most people don't have. But in the script file, if the location of the NPCs is in that folder, the script folder, they have to match up on both sides, client and game server. So we went over NPC assign. So next is the table. So that's referring to this folder right here, that folder of the NPC responds. Next is the reborn file, which is if you die in a certain part of the map, where would you reborn at? What position? So, and it looks crazy because maps you can die in a bunch of certain areas. Like it has it to like the coordinates. If you die within this quadrant, you're gonna spawn in this other quadrant. It looks crazy. Don't fuck with it. I fucked with it once on one of my maps, and I spawned in a fucking. It took me. It glitched the screen and spawned me in an unknown area, and the screen was glitched up. So don't fuck with your reborn. Don't fuck with any of these. Most of these, if you get it from another server, they are correct. Don't fuck with them. Don't change up any of these. Don't like actually edit any of these. The only one you can edit is the NPC respawn, because obviously you can make your own NPCs and whatever. The next one is area. Oh, there's two of them. PK area. which is referring to, it determines what maps are green, or what part of the map is green, what part of the map is red. We see here, so PK attribute, I'm assuming that's 1. And you see, like, it has the whole quadrant and shit. It don't even try to understand it. Just let it be. But yeah, so 1 is, I'm assuming, is on. So for PK, and then these 2 are referring to green zone areas. And then the last file that you need to make sure you have is the area, which I think determines the actual coordinates, the actual area of the map. So yeah, like, so that's the specific area. So, if we're talking about MDV, West Simon, South Simon, East Simon the Mountain, Barbarian Mountain, Wind Stage, it specifies those. So yeah. So if you, let's say you're going to copy a map from another server, you need to make sure you have each of those files. And some of the maps or caves don't have one of each. So as you see here, a lot of these don't have area PK because these are caves. Caves is a green zone by default, so it's not going to have it. And then some other ones, like I think area PK is the main one that most don't have. Yeah. So that's explaining the scene file, which I had to explain because a lot of the files are relevant to the scene. So now what we will do, because I'm gonna, this is a copy of my files. I'm gonna delete as I explain it, just so that it doesn't take up much space. There's also a few copies, like how I said in my previous video. There's a few copies of files. Like, there's a task file in here. You don't need to edit the one here. You can leave it blank by default. The only one you need to edit is in your local Mars table. So I'll delete that too to get that out the way. We'll delete the NPC assigns. Some of these I haven't fucked with at all. And I'll go through the ones that I haven't fucked with at all because there's no reason to. I try to set up my calendar and I didn't know how to do it. Some people have it, but there's no purpose of it really, because I mean, newbies maybe so they can see when events are, but after like a couple days of playing, people already should know where all the events are. A lot of these I haven't fucked with before. Dungeon, that's the one I was looking for, I think, to edit the PvP level. Help. I ain't never fuck with none of those. We'll go to the new roles real quick too. Pop menu, I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Title, don't know what those are. UI, I ain't fuck with. See, a lot of these I ain't fuck with. So about half. So we have 50 files left. About 25, I haven't touched. So in reality, well, actually, I haven't touched this one or this one either before. Yeah, all of these I haven't touched that one either, or that one. So we'll be at 20 out of 50. So in reality, 20. Nope, I ain't touched that one either, or that one. Really, I ain't touched dungeon either. So in reality, you've only gonna edit primarily 20 files in this local folder, and this is where most of your edits are in here for anything. So as we see, NPCs, skills, scenes, traffic lights is referring to teleports. Motto is the visual look. Map zone you need for your for maps. Compose is the life skills. Attribute is like stats on purple items. We're going to get more detail. I'm just going over real quick. EC type is caves. Effect is like a buff, or if you do a poison, the effect of that actor is the starting stuff you get. So we're gonna open all these real quick, and we're gonna fly through them because I haven't touched them. I never edited them, so most likely you're not gonna have to edit them. But we'll explain them if we. Oh fuck. But yeah, we'll explain them the best we can, even if tonight mess with it. But yeah, I'll open a notepad just because I haven't messed with them before, so I don't think it's that important. It looks really weird, so I'm gonna try to understand it. So decompose. Oh yeah, so you got that option to decompose items. I think to get different what's that thing that you get like a golden or a blue shard of something. I think it's for like magic stone or something, or to make, I don't even know. I never did it, but you're decomposing. Some people who play Talisman, they probably know more what a decompose means. I've done it before, but I forget what it's for. But nobody. Nobody really uses life skills at all in most private servers unless the GM has made new skills. Because Magic Stone, they usually make their own Magic Stone that they can drop or they can exchange to get. So most people don't even have life skills set up in their server. So decompose done. Oh, that shows the beginning. Small pet. So this is another one. How I said that there might be a copy somewhere. You only have to edit this one and local Mars, and because it's outside of it's a file just within local Mars. It's not in that subfolder. War area that looks like it's one of those area maps, so don't worry about that. Privilege. This is okay. So this would be like, I guess. Okay, yeah. So in your, I don't have it open. There's different privilege levels, and you can obviously change it up. Usually, when you want to make a GM account, you just do privilege 9. That means they have full access. Obviously, the lower the number, the less access they have. Uh, okay, so I see here. So number 1, the first number refers to the name prefix. So if it'll show this title. 2, the second number refers to world chat limit. So probably if they can talk infinitely as fast and as long as they want in world chat. Uh, 3 looks like showing client. Maybe that's just so that other players can see the title. I don't know. Either way, I never mess with it because I always make myself privilege 9. Boom. Game config. Oh, we get in. Oh, that's it on that. This is a copy in another file, I think. So let me double check where did I click that game config. Oh wait, no, that's open from yesterday. Don't worry about that. Local Mars. That's local demo. All right, demo. Oh, I don't know. Give me a second. Let me open that normally. That looks familiar. Oh, okay, gotcha. So demo, this looks like this is referring to, let's see what we got here. This looks like it's referring to the skills. So yeah, because this is mine. Yeah, I added the super skill. Okay, so this is referring to the skills, weapons, and if they have any gear starting when they make a new character. So this J folder, this is referring to the skills. I know because it's 10,005 is one of my super skills. Weapon is the this is the item ID of the weapon. Oh wait, no, skills here. Actually, bro, I never messed with this. Oh, I think I messed with it once. Obviously, I have my super skill in, so that they have it by default. But that's the only time I've messed with this, so I can't really tell you much about it. But I think I only ended this once to add a super skill in, so they have it by default. So it's not really that important. You can still add super skills even if you don't edit that. Demo dress sounds related to that. Demo point we'll get out of that. Demo weapon we'll get out of that. Dungeon. So we're gonna look at that normally. That I believe shows SD012. 2 is Dragon Lair. That's PvE. That's PvP. That's Dimension. I haven't edited this before, but it looks like something relevant to certain maps. I added this cave, but I added SD002, but it looks like there was already something configured for it by default. I don't know. I ain't mess with it, so disregard. What we got? What we got? Help. I ain't mess with that. Inherence. That looks like it's referring to enhancing, but I haven't messed with that. You don't mess with no enhancing. You don't want to do something wrong and all of a sudden somebody can enhance. That's yeah. Don't fuck with enhancing. Map continent. This looks like it's for Westworld. Is obviously made the Stone City, all those maps. So this looks like just the quadrant locations of the whole fucking Westworld map. Map region. There's nothing in it, so don't edit it obviously because it isn't edited. Now I got you NPC. So let me open up these normal roles. These NPC new roles, these are referring to, like, let's say when you're gonna go make a new character, and you see how by default it'll show like the different classes, and you can make your name and the hairstyle, but it shows them with gear on already. So that's what you edit here. There's a file for each looking one. So hair, the different hairstyles. Or we going? Well, we'll start with head. So yeah, nope. Let's go to hair. So the different hairstyles, and each one of these, that you see these numbers, this is the EVA file. This is I describe it as a visual. This is the visual that you see. There's a visual for everything, which we will get into later, and those are in the model and model 2 folders. But there's a visual for everything, for the way an NPC looks, the way certain parts of the map look, the way your items look. Items, what I refer to as your purple gear or any gear. And I don't mean like when you open up your inventory and you click the item, but I'm talking about when you're looking at your actual character, like how Greedy Wolf level 50 assassin set kind of looks like a wolf. That visual, that's one of these files, but this one in particular is referring to the hairstyle. Um, so this I'm assuming is referring to the shape of the head. Yeah, it looks like, or maybe I don't know. I don't. I usually choose just the first fucking look of my character. Now model here though, this is referring to what gear that they would see when they're making a new character. Yeah. So, and there's three main ones that have the visual effect that you see. And as for armor, arm guard, boots. This is referring to the different class. This is like another acronym for the class. How we seen yesterday though, it was like EM, FM, XQ, and all that. There's like several ways that they have it set up. Depending on the file, you might use that way or you use this way. Um, know this. Remember this. So the party number. There's a lot of files that show party as a column, like in skills and stuff. 0 is wizard. 1 is monk. 3 is fairy. 2 is assassin. 4 is tamer. Remember that. And this is this is with the weapons. Now that these are all like an effect, or most of these are an effect, or like how you know when an assassin's standing there, his dagger kind of moves, or he'll throw them up and bring them back down. That's an effect, and that's in this bullshit right here. This crazy. That's why he has so much. Don't ever fuck with. Don't ever try to change this. If you change it, the item's gonna either disappear, like it's gonna look invisible, or it's gonna fuck up. You know, just leave these how it are. If you want to change it to like a different weapon, go in your item file and just copy this line, this part of the line, in the item.csv. This order right here shows up exactly in this order on your items file. So you don't gotta like try to guess and put them in its order. It's already in order. Just copy and paste it. Same thing with the gear. If you want to change the gear, just copy and paste it. Shape and skin color. We ain't worry about that. So let's get rid of these. The only thing I ever did in there was I changed the set that the character that you would see when you make a new character. I left the weapons to level 70. Actually, no, I think I changed them to level 80. What is this one? I've never done this one. Fuck that. Auction. Oh, I see. I forgot I have them open up in here. Skin color. Get rid of. Get the fuck out of here with that. Pop menu. I never messed with that. Get rid of that. Pose. I've never messed with that. Get rid of that. Titles is blank. Title class is blank. Traffic fair, nah. Traffic level, nah. UI, nah. UI item slot. So this looks like it's so there's files for everything. So if we go into the UI folder, which we'll be discussing in deep later, but in the UI folder, which you only see on the client actually, UI, there's a shit ton of files, and there's files for everything. For I guess the way tasks show up, uh, stuff about pets, skills, if you're signing, mounts, T point shop, fucking being a master, mailing shit. There is these files for everything. These luas. So I think this is just giving like a telling what file would go to referring to each thing, like guild bank and all that. User help, ain't do that. See, most of these I've never touched or edited. I never had to, so you shouldn't have to either. Auction, nope. Yeah, most GMs, I haven't seen them edit any of these files. The only ones that they have edited, oh, dang, I exited my thing. Oh, not, yeah, let me. I have only edited the ones that are going to be left here. Besides, like the actual maps and scenes that I deleted from the other folder, like how I only showed World 2. Those they don't really edit. They kind of just copy in, unless they change like the NPC locations. That's the only thing they really edit from those. But let me delete all these, and then we will continue. All right, boom. So you are left with 19, which are the main files you will ever edit on for just about everything. We're gonna go in order. So actor. Actor is referring to when you make a new character. So model 1, this is the visual of each class. So as you see, you'll see here that there is two lines that they're pretty much the same thing. So it's copied. I'm not sure exactly why. I haven't tested deleting it and only leaving one. So I just make sure that two lines are the same. There is a little difference here. As you see, the model ID is different, and so is this career name. But each one is look at the party again. 0 for wizard, 1 monk, 2 assassin, 3 fairy, 4 tamer. So only thing I've ever done here, this here, you see the born position. So that's the spawn position. I believe this is by default set in Westworld. So you just have to put the coordinates. Dress glove 0, they spawn with no items. They spawn with the level 1 weapons as like that they already have wearing. Now this one, item bag, this is the one that you edit mostly. This is referring, each one of these is an item ID. This is referring to the items that they'll have the moment they make a new character. You don't edit if it's bound or anything. Where you would edit if it's bound or how or whatever is in the item.csv. Um, if you want multiple of one item, you're gonna have to list it multiple times in here. So like I have 6292, which I believe was a gold bag of 100 gold. Or no, I think I had that as something else, but I had to list it 3 times. So this is where you'll list every item that you want them to have. Here is listing skills, and I want to say, okay, so this is the skills that they have from the start. So you know when you make a new character and you make a wizard, he's wearing a sword, his level 1 sword, and he has the first they he has fire strike, and he has 2 other skills. I don't remember which ones. Actually, I think it is. I think 1 is sitting, and then 52 and 53 is a fire strike, and then whatever his third one is. So as you see, they all have 1 and then 2 or 3 other skills. These last sets of skills are like the actual weapon skills. Add shortcut. This is referring to I think 201 and 2 is enhance and merge and all these. I'm not sure fully, but it's those other shortcuts that you'll see when you make a new character. Homestone. Homestone is referring to this Homestone NPC ID. That's the Teleport Stone ID. But yeah, the only ever that there really is, I haven't changed the respawn spot, but you could. But I just edited the item that they have from the start. We're gonna leave some of these. We're gonna skip some of these because they relate a lot. We're gonna go to compose. This is for life skills like magic stone. So in my server, I've recently made 2 skills. One was a post, and these the skill ID you can make up. Um, but the skill ID has to match in here as the actual skill in your skill folder, which we'll get into in a little bit. So you'll have how I showed before in language table. I lied in a message table. I had this little like a little formula for it. I don't think this is specific. You can put any number in here, but just use this format and just put a number in there. So column A is like a number, like it's listing. Column B is that little description. Column C is the skill ID number. So 1596 for my server was crafting potions. 97 was crafting mounts. Need skill level is referring to the level of the skill that they need to make the item. So for potions, they had up to level 10. For mounts, you didn't have to level up that skill, that life skill. Product is the end reward. These two columns are item IDs, the item IDs. So product is referring to the item that you'll get once you collect all of these materials. So this is my level 1 potion. I don't know the specifics, but it'll say the result, the reward that you'll get for collecting 10 of this item and 5 of this item. As you see, 10 and 5, you'll get one of these potions. Remember, when you're listing, always a semicolon. If you left it like a comma or whatever, your server is probably not going to go up because it's going to see that there's something an error in this file. And if it does go up, your client will crash because it's not set up right. But that's it. Yeah. So you can you can't list more than 3 items, because if you ever look at, like, when you're making something, there's only 4 boxes. 1 box is for the result, for the reward, and then 3, up to 3 can be for for the type of materials you need. As for the number of materials, I'm assuming you can go infinitely. I've seen 1500. But yeah. But yeah, so you don't gotta mess with the other ones. But yeah, so this is for life skills. This is gonna be a long ass fucking video. I'm already at, I think this is 37 minutes so far. So we'll get rid of that. Next, we'll go into caves. So caves, this is a file that you need to add. You need to make sure you have the line for the cave in here, or the cave won't exist. So we will go to, I'm not about to give you my extras, my rewards over here. Look at all this PRC, WCM. You can't see all that. You can see a little bit of it, but can't see the specifics. So column A is list ID. Column B is the crazy name that is set up for the actual cave. Column C is scene ID. That is referring to the scene ID that is set up here. That is this ID. So this ID kind of matters because there's a couple files that you'll put the scene ID in. We'll get to another one. Well, so we were looking at World 2. World 2 has PRC, right? So what's World 2? World 2 is scene 17, right? So PRC is in 17. So, oh, I lied. I didn't lie. But so we kind of skipping ahead. So PRC is in scene 17. So when you leave PRC, you respawn and you come back in win stage, which is part of MDV. So that's what this column is for, the scene that it's going to respawn. So most of these caves, SCLW, BC, they all respawn in Westworld, which is main, which is scene 1. This scene, each cave, because as I said, that scene has cave and maps. Each cave has its own scene ID as well. So, where was PRC? PRC was 28, whatever. Point being that you got to make sure that the scene ID here matches up in the scenes file. Required level is the level that they have to be to enter the cave. So born position, this is the position within the cave. You could adjust this, because since you have the scene ID here, it already will know that you're talking within that cave. So you just gotta find the coordinates that you want them to spawn in. And the same thing for exit the scene. Limit is the amount of characters, obviously 5 characters because 5 is the team. Same thing for max characters, you can't have more than max characters. Now this is like, these descriptions are, I think, like when you click the teleport NPC, what shows above, like enter SC or whatever. Now you can do a couple things. You can add a couple scripts in here. I haven't. Like here in some of these, get item count. So this is referring to, I think this is SSS and SSC. So the keys that you need to enter the cave, you could copy this formula, change it up, and whatever. So that means that they're going to need that item before they can enter the cave. So we'll get rid of scenes. Well, not yet. We're gonna get so map zone. This is another one that you need for when you're making a cave or a map. So again, here the continent ID, that's referring to the scene ID again. So this here is all part of Barbarian Mountain, scene 17. So column A lists the number in order. Column B is the scene ID of the area, and when I say map zone, that's referring to Barbarian Mountain, wind stage, the actual different little parts of the map, the little different areas. If you're in Stone City, you got Stone City, south of Stone City North, west suburb. Each one of those is a map zone. So if you don't edit them in here, if you don't add them in here, when you go, the map either won't exist, so like you can't, like it won't show up, or you enter it and it'll either one glitch the screen, two, the name of the map, like when you're looking over the mini map, it'll say unknown characters, or the client and or server won't even go up. So just make sure when you add a new area, a new map or cave, that you have all the map zones for it. And this is again the crazy coordinates of it, and then this is like the name of the map, which you can't adjust. You want to make sure this is the same as the files. So we get rid of map zones, we get rid of scenes. Pet, I don't think I've edited it actually. Yeah, I haven't messed with pet. Leave pet alone. So ride, we'll go into NPC shop. Yeah. So this looks crazy. I messed with this to learn how to make my own I messed with this to learn how to make reputation NPCs. In this file is where you would set up a shop for a reputation NPC. So like how most maps have their own reputation NPC. Like if you go to the reputation merchant and it sells, blue gear, green gear, whatever the fuck, but it has like you need Laurel Wonderland level 3 reputation to get this item. That's set up here. So I will use, and also any other NPC. If the blacksmith is selling, like how Moon Dragon Village blacksmith sells like the level 60 white gear, you do that here too. There's different numbers in this column that refers to what specific it is. If it's like a normal NPC, like a blacksmith, or if it's like one that sells gear. So we will look at my items. We'll look at the ones I have here. We'll look at a normal NPC that sells normal items, and then a reputation NPC. So column A is just the list in order. Column B is the NPC ID, which we will get into soon. That's the NPC ID. Column C does not matter the name, but it's just for your reference. Because the name of the NPCs will be in a different file. Now column D, I had to play and see what each of these numbers meant. So like I created NPC in the game to see what kind of NPC it does. 1 is normal NPC, so that's sell normal items. 20 is like a reputation NPC. So we look at my store of Noxus. All that's here is just items listed. That's all it is. The order that it shows in here is the order that it'll show in the game. And when we get into actual editing, I'll make a new NPC and I'll add new items to it just to show you. But right now I'm just explaining the files. Now reputation NPC, bit different. So you see there's a bunch of numbers. The first number is the NPC ID. Now the next 3 zeros, let me compare another one real quick. Yeah, the next 3 zeros, I'm not fully sure. What I did was I copied this portion of another reputation NPC, and I just adjusted it. Like I used like LW's reputation NPC and I adjusted it. So I don't know what all of these numbers refer to, but I know this first one is NPC ID. I've kept the next 3 zeros how they were zeros. 2 is the number this number there would be the pickup, so if it's bound after pickup, bound after use, 2 is bound after pickup. 200 is referring to the reputation ID, how we did enforce, how you made a number, like I did 201 was long dick 69 or whatever. You need to make sure that these numbers match up. If you put like 201, your NPC will work, but when they go to click the item, it'll show, need reputation points for this other reputation. The next number, that refers to the level of reputation. But see, the thing here is that I have the number 3, but what the game sees is level 2. So what you do is you add, or I lied. The game sees level 4. So whatever number you have here in the game, it'll show a number higher. So usually my last item you get a level 10, so that's why you'll see most of these. And that 9, because it adds 1. If you try to change this to 10, there's a level 11, but after level 11, the NPC fails. So you can't make a level 12 enough. I think 11 is the highest. I might be wrong, and it might be 10. I think it's 10. Yeah, it is 10, because reputation and the force only goes up to level 10. These next two numbers refer to the column and row. So the first number after the reputation level is the row. Yeah. So this is first. This one. This pretty much says this is in column 1, row 1. This is in column 1, row 2, column 2, row 2, and so on. But that's it. Now, I know a lot of people like to make competition NPCs. So let me see if I can go to the PvP store. Shit, I don't remember the name of it, because it's similar to that reputation NPC, but there's a little bit something different. I can't remember the top of my head where it's at. Let me see if I can just scroll up. Um, yeah, I don't see it. That's okay, I guess. We'll look into it later. Okay. Next, we'll go into skills. No, skill is crazy. We're gonna go into traffic. So this is referring to teleports. So there's 2 folders. One is the actual, you creating the actual teleport, and then the other one is the pathway that the teleports can go to. So you know how if you go to Peace Island, the teleport ferry can take you to South Rock, Birdie Island, all that. That's in traffic line. So first one you're gonna edit is traffic. What is this? Traffic station, the actual traffic number. So list the ID in order. This number right here, this doesn't matter really. You can name it whatever. This is just a description of the actual teleport. Same thing with the second line. I just copied and pasted. Now here, this matters. Scene. So the scene that the teleport NPC is going to be at. And then this is the positioning, the X and Y of where the teleport is going to be at. Now, so we see here I have teleport ID 142 and 43. If I search here, we have 2 lines here. We have 142 to 143 and then 143 to 142. So these 2 lines are pretty much saying I have a teleport that goes from Peace Island to Stone City, and then I have one that same NPC. Those 2 NPCs, they can also go back to each other. So Stone City can travel to Peace Island. So so the teleport from, so 142 and then to 143. And then A is just list the number in order. From the start, doesn't matter. It's just a description of what you want to put there that has no effect on it. Min level to enter that teleport. So like how Peace Island, you usually have to be level 70 to enter. I had mine set for level 70. Nope, I lied. I had mine for level 70. And then max level 99. And then the fair, this is referring to, how much gold it would cost or how much money it would cost to enter. And I remember the money in the game, it starts out as copper. So this right now is 50 copper. You want it to be 50 gold? It'd be, what is this, 500,000? Yeah. And that's it. And then so this isn't creating an NPC. This is just creating the script for the teleportation. The actual to make an NPC a teleporter, you have to go to NPC folder, and there's a line in here for traffic static. You just put the NPC ID in there, or the traffic ID in there. So here if let's say this line was for my teleporter that goes to Peace Island, all I would put is there at 142, and boom, now it's a teleport NPC. But you also need to make there's a command that says this NPC does traffic, and that is let me scroll down to actual one so I can show you. If we scroll down to, let me go segment traffic real quick. So column AX, function. So this, I'll go in order of this in this file folder in a little bit. But so talking is like if it talks, traffic is referring to teleport, task if the NPC does quest, life skill if it has life skills, shop if it sells item. But yeah, so if you're gonna make it a teleport, make sure in the function column you have traffic, and then you have the traffic ID and traffic station. Now we're going to get into NPCs since we already have it open. There's a couple files that relate to it. We will focus on NPC and NPC rebirth for now, because yeah. So let me get into those. All right, so we are going to look at NPC first. NPC and NPC rebirth. They are this required for any NPC. You make any NPC, and when I say NPC, I am talking a mob, a boss, a normal NPC, that doesn't do anything, or a pet. A pet is a NPC. So as you see here, I have all my pets. You must have them in both NPC and NPC rebirth. If you don't add them to NPC rebirth, when you try to create them, or let's say you already have it created in your game and you try to summon the pet, one, your client's going to DC, and if you're a GM, it'll DC your server. So you want to make sure that it is in both, that you have the lines configured for both NPC and NPC rebirth. So let's say we're going to be looking at a boss, because we're going to talk about the drops as well. So we're looking at Jingao. So I have this first column is NPC ID. Can be any number, but this number must reflect into this third column on NPC rebirth. So it says the NPC ID. So what I do, so now I have crazy ass numbers everywhere, I just make the NPC ID and the NPC rebirth ID the same number. So if we look at Jingao, and I've done this for pretty much all my NPCs. Also, you want to make sure that you don't have no duplicate NPCs, or neither will work. You need to make sure that the IDs are not duplicated anywhere. Well, for these I didn't, but I started doing that later on. Like we see down here, I just have all of them match up. But that's the easiest way, is just make them the same so you don't got numbers going crazy. Also, another way the easy way to make sure that you don't make any duplicates. And then so here, there's two columns here. This first column doesn't matter for the name. This third column determines the name of the NPC. In Rebirth, this column doesn't matter. I guess I'm kind of explaining both at once. In Rebirth, this column doesn't matter. It's for you to know what that line is for. But this third one determines the name of the NPC. So I don't know what a lot of these columns mean. I've messed with some columns, like 1 through 3. These two I haven't messed with. 1 and 3 seems to be the same for most of these. What is this? 5-0. So 1 and 3 seems to be for mobs and bosses. Obviously these I'm referred to. This is like a gate, so that's not a mob. But yeah, so 2 looks for like a chest or something that opens up. So usually the best way when you're making an NPC, find another NPC and just copy the line and edit it how you want it to be. Change the name, change the NPC ID, the model, what it drops. Don't try and go and make it from scratch, because you're going to fuck it up. Model ID. This is this as well. You need to make sure that you have a whatever ID is here. You need to make sure that there's a line configured in your model for it, or either your NPC is going to be invisible. It'll show up, but you won't be able to. He'll look invisible, or it's going to crash. So if we are looking at if we are fuck, I want to Jingao. Give me a second. Uh, Jingao is model ID 6010. So Jingao's model ID is 6010. So this number doesn't matter. You can make any number. I don't know, because usually these NPCs I get from other servers. But I've only messed with a couple things. I've changed the scale is referring to the size of them. So usually how bosses are bigger. I usually make it a 3 or whatever. All of this, don't mess with if you're gonna get it from another server. Copy how it is. This head icon is the icon of the NPC. This act is referring to the actual visual of the boss or NPC. So like if it's an NPC or a boss or whatever, this is the name of the EVA file, which is the actual file for the visual. And then this is the icon file, which is these files are located in a UI texture. These files, where are you at? All of these files will be located in the model or model 2 actor folder, which we will get into later. But you want to make sure it has a model, make sure the model's set up. So let's see, what's next? Level is the level of the NPC. This elite rate, I don't mess with, but that's referring to like if it's a veteran or a boss or a mob. I only mess with, so this is referring to the HP of the boss, the damage of the boss. This is the dot. I don't know what ARM stands for. You can do it. So you see how we have effect and skill resist. So this would be the idea of the skill or effect. So you know how Jingao, you can do only the fatal sadness, and then that's the only stun that works on them. You would put like those skills that if you any skill you don't want to work, you would put that in here. Skills that the boss has, you could give him all kinds of crazy skills. So I see here 1307.15. I'm assuming so. This is 1307, comma 0.15 semicolon. Usually, if it's a comma, that means it's a pair. The two numbers are related. So what I'm assuming is if this saying that this boss has a 15% chance of activating this skill. Now, all of the fractions, all of these decimals are in a percent. One would be if this would say 1, that's 100%. But how these are all configured is in decimal. Elemental armor, not so for sure. Move speed, how fast the boss moves. I usually up my convoy move speed so they go faster. EXP and Nimbus, how much EXP and energy you get for killing the mob. Gold, how I said it's 50 is copper, 50 silver, 50 gold. How much gold you get for killing each boss. Now I don't know why some of these have 0.5. This is saying that if right now if you would kill this mob, you would